Hey guys, go use your plus back time more to your. I don't like it. I can just cut it out. Hey guys, go use your plus back time more to your day. And I did say I was going to make a video reviewing the Falcons draft class. Now, this is not going to be a video where I grade any picks because I think grading picks was created by the media to get clicks. Or not think, I know. That's exactly why they exist. Because, of course, grading a player based on how good they might be is pretty much useless. Now, usually grades are decently accurate. Like, people said that the Alex Leatherwood pick by the Raiders a few years back was stupid, and it was. But it doesn't matter because I just don't get it. First of all, if you think I'm biased, most people do think the Falcons had a good draft class. There's a few outliers, but even the ones where I see us getting an A-, it doesn't really matter. I don't care about what the grades say. I mean, I care about the value of the picks, but in general, A- means as much as a D. It doesn't matter what grade you get. It matters how much these guys pan out and what you got them for. So, yeah, 2 to 3 years from now, I will grade these picks. Like, I will have a video coming out grading some picks in the future from a few years back. But for now, I just want to talk about these picks and what these guys can be for the team instead of talking about how good I think the pick is right now. You know, I do like a lot of these players. I'm not going to give a number or a letter grade, okay? Let's get started. So, the Falcons, let's start with my mock draft. I had the Falcons drafting Mykel Williams in my most recent first-round mock draft, and I think Josh Simmons in my most recent second round. Well, yeah. In the most recent mock draft where I had a second round, I had us getting Josh Simmons and Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams went at 11, and I've heard that some 49ers fans are not too happy about that. They did not want Mykel Williams, but I was going to be happy with Mykel Williams or Jalen Walker, and by the time you get past the 10th pick, we got past pick 10, and we're at the 49ers pick. I'm like, oh, there's a good shot. We're going to get either Williams or Walker here, and I was already happy. I see Williams go at 11. I'm like, okay, maybe not. But then again, at 12, who picks at 12? The team before, the Cowboys. I didn't think they were going to go Walker or Williams. Walker. I didn't think the Colts or Dolphins were going to go with Walker. I think Walker's going to fall to the Falcons. And, of course, he did, and we selected him with the 15th pick in the NFL draft. Now, I'm looking at this is the Falcons app. If you're a Falcons fan, you should have it. It has a ton of good articles if you like reading, which I guess is kind of not that popular, but it has good info. But, yeah, the Falcons don't draft Georgia players like that. So the fact that we did makes you know that we like Jalen Walker. I love Jalen Walker. He was my favorite Bulldog. I don't know if I mentioned this in any of my Bulldogs videos, but he was my favorite Bulldog in 2024. Jalen Walker was an absolute beast all around the field, and I like versatile players because one of my other favorite Bulldogs is Nakobe Dean, who was similar in some ways to Jalen Walker. The difference is Walker can he can rush the passer. Nakobe Dean was a good blitzer, but if he was on block, he wasn't really doing much. Walker can go free and make moves as an edge rusher to get to the QB. Now, the Falcons are clearly going to use Walker as a pass rusher. That's what we've heard. I think he still will be off ball sometimes because even Judon and Evan Katie were off ball sometimes for the Falcons. So I think he will be in coverage or as an off ball blitzer sometimes. But he's going to primarily focus on his pass rushing, which I'm completely fine with. It makes sense. I think this is a great pick. I had Jalen Walker going at 9 to the Patriots after a trade down, so I didn't really expect him to be on the board. A lot of people had him going inside the top 10. But when he fell to 15, you pretty much, I don't know, I felt like I knew Walker was going to be a Falcon. And I'm very happy about it. Now, some concerns people have is his size and that he doesn't have a pure position. They would rather have a pure edge rusher. I somewhat agree with both of these, but not really. I don't agree with them. I get their point. For the first point, he is kind of small, but he is very strong, and he really isn't that small. Like, 241 isn't a bad size, especially when, you still rush the passer well. Maybe if he was a pure linebacker and we wanted to move him to edge rusher, then he'd be like He's just now starting out as an edge rusher, and he's very small. But no, he knows how to rush the passer. Watch this man play. Watch Jalen Walker play. Watch his snaps against Kelvin Banks. They're not all perfect, but he has some good rushes against them. He has some good rushes against Notre Dame and Clemson, where he's getting blocked by offensive linemen and gets around them. It usually is speed, so I feel like he might not be as good in run defense in the NFL as he was in college. But I think as a premier pass rusher, Walker could have a very high ceiling. I love this pick. I have no complaints about it. But, of course, we're not grading, so we're going to move on to the Falcons trading up to James Pierce at pick 26 with the Rams. I have something to say. Anybody who says this pick was bad, the trade was bad because we lost next year first, is misunderstanding something. Losing a first-round pick is when after the trade you had less first-round picks than you did before the trade. We didn't lose a first-round pick. We swapped first-round picks. We traded our next year first for a this year first because the Falcons are trying to win now. So they think the pick is going to be probably in the same spot, if not higher, than the 26th pick. And we like James Pierce a lot. I heard that James Pierce was going to be our pick at 15 if Walker wasn't there. So we swapped first-round picks with the Rams, gave them a second, got a late third, and then gave them a seventh. We swapped firsts year to year, and then gave them a second for a third and added on a seventh. That's what happened in the trade. Use your heads, guys. But yeah, we used it to select a pure pass rusher who still has some other abilities, but he's more of just a pure edge rusher, James Pierce. Now, I was watching this man. He can bull rush. He's also very small compared to some of the bigger or more normal edge rushers in the NFL. But he might be, I think he's stronger than Jalen Walker. And I love Jalen Walker. But this man has strength. He has a deep bag. You never know how he's going to try to get around you. He has this little tug move where he pulls like your jersey and with a swim move over you. It's just nasty what James Pierce does to offensive linemen. He's also a great tackler. He has multiple sacks in his career on Jalen Milroe and other evasive QBs. You don't see a lot of broken tackles on James Pierce. I know you don't want to lose a next year first, but I trust the Falcons' first-round picks. They have not missed on a first-round pick since Fontenot became the GM. The closest to a miss was Kyle Pitts, and he's still a starting caliber tight end on 90% of teams. How many teams are not starting Kyle Pitts? Probably not more than 10. But yeah, and then London's a receiver one on more than half teams. Bijan's starting running back on almost every team, and Penix is a really good rookie QB. I'm not going to say too much on him yet because we're not guaranteed, even though I think it's likely he is good. I trust what we gave up for James Pierce. I trust that we're going to be a good team next year. So I'm not worried. I'm happy about this pick because even if Walker doesn't pan out as a pure pass rusher and either we don't re-sign him or we just move him to a more Hidden Ellis-like role, we still have an actual pass rusher, pure edge rusher who can also stop the run in James Pierce. I think he might have a higher ceiling as a pass. Actually, I think he just does have a higher ceiling as a pure pass rusher than Jalen Walker does. He's maybe the quickest edge rusher I've ever seen. Like, the fact that he isn't usually, you know how in Madden, you'll get sacked immediately because a guy goes unblocked. It's like that in real life, except he's not going unblocked. He's just getting past the tackle so quickly that you might have guessed he did. A really good player. Of course, you don't want to lose him next year first, but if it was for anybody, I'm happy it was for him and not Mike Green, who has character concerns. It also fell to the end of the second round. On to the next pick is Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. This guy is a ball hawk. I wouldn't compare him to Jesse Bates too much because Bates has more athleticism and is a better run stopper, but Xavier Watts is also good at run stopping. But what he's known for is leading the FBS in interceptions over the past 2 years. We have to trade up a 5th-round pick next year, which actually I think this trade was worse than the last one. Trading up 5 spots in the 3rd round, late 3rd round, by the way. The last actual pick in the regular pick in the 3rd round, we traded up to that and had to give up a 5th next year. I feel like that's a decently heavy price. I was thinking 6th or 7th when I saw we traded. 5th seems not great. That's like the biggest critique I have of this entire draft class is that I feel like we shouldn't have had to give up a fifth in this trade. But it really doesn't matter because if Xavier Watts is as good as he can be, we'll forget about that fifth round pick very quickly. But yeah, Xavier Watts is an insanely good player because he is possibly the least athletic player we drafted in our first 4 picks. I'm not counting the offensive linemen. But he's just has such high football IQ. He's played a bunch of different positions at high levels in football. He just knows the game of football, has great attention. He can read the quarterback's eyes and zone, and that's where he is best at. And I think this man could easily win the starting job from Jordan Fuller before the season starts. And I really like Jordan Fuller. I don't care for Jordan Fuller. Xavier Watts is the future of our secondary, man. I'm telling you. I might be more hyped for him than any other player just because we got him in the late third round. I have him going mid-second. I think a lot of people have him going early second. I don't think I ever saw him in the first. But this is a really high-value pick. Bates. Listen, Terrell is a great corner. I don't call him a ball hawk. He had interceptions, but, that's just not his deal. He's more of a lockdown corner. Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates might combine to be one of the best safety duels we've ever seen. And even for a floor, Xavier Watts will probably be a decent safety in the NFL just because of, if you're not, you can tell players good if they make waves without being a crazy good athlete. Xavier Watts is good, all right? I think he has a higher floor than probably anybody. I think Walker might have a slightly higher floor just because he has so many niches that he can fill. But Watts is a pure safety, has a really good floor for me, in my opinion. And this is a guy who isn't the most intelligent or a scout at the football level, but I do care about the game. I do watch the game. I think this is also a great pick. Now, this is the first pick, player that I saw Falcons fans weren't happy with. This is Billy Bowman from Oklahoma. We didn't trade up for him. We picked him kind of midway through the 4th round. People were concerned because we just picked a second quote-unquote safety. But the intelligent Falcons fans quickly realized that we're not going to use Billy Bowman as a safety. I looked at a lot of his plays. A lot of his good plays come from the slot. Almost all of them. He's a nickel corner, all right? He plays safety, I guess. He's a nickel corner at the NFL level. And we did sign D. Alford, but I think he will be competing heavily with Alford for that spot because I know the Falcons didn't see what D. Alford did last year. If Alford doesn't show up during training camp and preseason, you could see a secondary where the starters are Terrell, Bowman, Hughes, and then Watts and Bates. You could see Fuller and Alford on the bench. Now, I don't think Bowman has as high as a ceiling as some of these guys. He seems like even more than Watts, his main thing is turnovers. So if that just doesn't happen in the NFL, he could just not pan out, which is fine for a 4th round pick. Not all of them have to go extremely well. I would like him to do well, though. He had the most, I believe, defensive touchdowns in the last 2 years, also the second most interceptions. We went straight for turnovers, which the Falcons have struggled with, not as much as sacks. But look at our turnover numbers over the years, especially before Jesse Bates. We were not turning the ball over. So, just as a nickel corner, he's good against the run. He's really good against the pass. I think we've got a pretty good player here, but I'm not going to over-jump like I did and say this was a great pick like the other ones, because if he ends up not fitting as a slot, then we kind of have just the extra spot at safety. Probably the worst pick out of our top 4, but he's a round 4 pick. He's the latest pick. So saying worst is basically saying just the least good pick or the least crazy value pick. And finally, we've got our round 7 pick, Jack Nelson. Now, this isn't a flashy pick at all. I had a feeling we were going to draft offense eventually, but I wouldn't have been mad if we drafted receiver, offensive line, or defensive tackle. I would have been fine with any of them. We ended up going offensive line here. I would probably prefer interior, but exterior works too. since I don't think many people think McGarry's going to stay on this team for an extra long time. But the thing about Nelson here is the one thing you want from a backup tackle or backup lineman is dependability. He played all of his games at Wisconsin and started apparently 50 of those. He's apparently taking reps across the offense. I have to read about him because I don't know as much as the other players. I just don't see this is hard to call a worse pick than Bowman because there's just no fault in a 7th round pick. I don't think any of the picks were bad. I even think the Bowman pick was good. I don't think we had a bad pick at this draft. But I think Nelson is just a kind of you can't miss. It's early 7th round. I believe it was early. Yeah, I think it was real early 7th round, like the second pick in the 7th round. You can't really miss here, especially when you pick someone who didn't miss any games. He doesn't have injury concerns, doesn't have character concerns. He's just a consistent tackle who just needs to work on some things. He's got great size. He's like 6'7", 315. There's no complaints here, but also nothing crazy, which is normal for a 7th round pick. Now, before I end this video, I do want to talk a little bit about undrafted free agents. Just 3 or 2, actually. Kobe Bryant, he can also compete for that slot position. I mean, there's a lower chance that he'll win, but even if he doesn't, he can still do well enough to make the roster. He was a strong signing. A lot of people liked him out of Kansas. People were surprised he wasn't drafted. That's how you know he at least has some potential. And that's all you really need to be signed as an undrafted free agent. And finally, our first undrafted free agent signing was Nick Nash. Now, I knew this guy a while ago because he was making waves on San Diego State. He won Triple Crown in the FBS. Most receptions were 104, most yards are like 1,300, 1,400 something, and most touchdowns was like 16. I know it's San Diego State, but those are crazy stats. There's no reason not to sign him if you're not going to pick him. I was saying the Falcons should pick him with the 7th round pick, and they didn't, but we ended up signing him. That's fine. Can't go wrong with either of those signings. I know there's other ones, but I don't know as much about those players or really anything at all, so I'm not going to comment on them, but we have been doing a good job. To conclude, I'm not mad about the James Pierce trade. Slightly mad about the Xavier Watts trade, but will probably end up being irrelevant. And overall, great draft class from the Falcons. Feels like Final tried his hardest to give the fans what they wanted. And even though it's not something you should be focusing on, it seems like it led to good value. So I have no complaints about this draft class or undrafted free agent class. I think this could lead the Falcons to the promised lands, but no reason to overreact. Gotta stay humble. We gotta hope for the best in developing these players. Tell me what you guys think about your favorite team's draft picks. And see you guys next time. Make sure to tune in next time because I've got a video planned.